to our YouTube channel, Excel with Solo. Here we share techniques, tips, and tricks of Microsoft Excel. So what we are doing today is that we are adding serial number to our Excel dataset. So we're going to look at 10 ways plus one bonus of doing this. So let's get to it. All right, so we're going to start with the most popular one. This involves typing the first number in the serial number, and for most people they will drag it down all the way and use the smart tag to fill the series. And for some, just simply type the first number and double click at the right bottom part of your active cell. Go to your smart tag and click on fill series to fill the number. Okay, so the next one is using the fill tool option in Excel to get this done. So how does this work? Okay, you enter the first number as we did with the most popular one, but instead of dragging down and clicking the smart tag as the case may be, you go to the home tab and you go to the fill button or fill tool on the home tab. Click on that and choose your series. So once you click on the series option, you'll be provided with a dialog box where you can make a set of choices. Now, the first choice here is which series, which area of the sheet are you delivering these numbers. So you can actually fill across the rows or down the column. In this case, we are filling down the columns. Now you have a step value. The step value is the consecutive number between is this value between the consecutive numbers. So if your step value is 1, your first number is 1, what you have next is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now if your step value is 2, for instance, you're going to have 1, 3, 5, 7. If your step value is 3, however, you're going to have 1, 4, 7 plus 3, that's 10, and on like that. So, but in our own case, our step value is 1, which is what we want to achieve. So the next thing you need to specify that is relevant to what we are doing now is the stop value. The stop value in this case is 14 because I know I have 14 students name here. So click that and my serial number is generated. So the next one we are looking at is what I call the x plus 1. Now this is where we get introduced to the use of formula in generating the serial number. What this simply does is that, like the previous ones, you have the first cell filled with number 1. So the next one adds 1 to the number you have above. Let me quickly explain that. Equal to this A2, which has the serial number 1, plus 1. And so that means 1 plus 1 will give you 2. In the next cell, it will be 2 plus 1. And if you double click down, it does that all the way through to 14. So that's the how that is done. Now here we are going into the tools or functions that Excel has got to offer, and this one we're looking at is the row function. Now let me explain how the row function works by itself. So what the row function does is it returns the row number of the active cell. In this case, my active cell is cell A2 and the row number is 2, and that is what is showing. If I come down here and I type equal to row, press enter, it gives me a 3 because my active cell at that point was cell A3 and the row number, of course, is row 3. So to make this work, you can see here that my serial number starts on row 2. So if I use this the way it is not going to give me exactly what I want. Instead, it's going to start at 2, 3, 4, but I want it to start at 1. So there are two ways that I usually basically use to go about doing this. So let me delete this. So the first thing I do is I do equal to row, all right, minus the number of rows above where I want to start, which is 1. So I'm starting at row 2 minus 1, which gives me a 1. I double click here, it takes me all the way down and gives me my serial number the way I want it. The second method I use with the row function is I do row and I insert the cell or a cell that has the serial number I want to use. In this case, it is cell A1. So what it's simply going to happen is that the row function is going to return the row number of the cell A1, which in this case is 1. So when I do that, it updates the formula, and the next one is A2, A3, A4, and on like that. So the next function we're looking at is the rows function. This differs from the one we just looked at, which is the row function. Now, what the rows function does is that it counts the number of rows in a given range. For instance, if I type rows and I enter a single cell reference, which in this case, let's say B2, my value is going to be 1 because I have only one cell referenced in that function or in that formula. If I take it to the next level and I say B2 to B3, that's two cells or two rows as the case may be, and I'm going to get 2 as my answer. And if I go here and I do B4, I'm going to get a 3. So to get what we need to generate this serial number, we're just going to do rows, all right? B2 to B2 will still give us 1 row. But if you see, when we drag this down, begin to get all ones all the way, and there's no option to do fill series. So to make this work, we have to lock down the first part of the function. So we lock down this B2 and make it absolute. Now when we double click and fill this down, it generates the number that we want. So what simply happens is that you're going to having B2 to B2, which is just one cell. B2 to B2 is still one cell. B2 to B3, which is 2. B2 to B4, and on until you get to B2 to B15. So that's how the rows function works. Now, the count A function simply counts the number of cells that are not empty, that contains text, all right, non-blank cells. So it's here, we just go and do count A, all right, and like we did before, we're going to lock down B2 to B2. We're going to lock down the first part or initial part of this function, and we will double click and fill down all the way. If we didn't lock it down, it's going to give us what we had initially, which is going to be a 1 all the way through. So locking it down is going to make the formula change accordingly. Now here, we start getting introduced to the if function in generating serial number. So what this simply does is that it checks if the cells are blank. If they are blank, it gives you a blank result. If it's not blank, it adds a serial number to it. So we're going to put the first number here, which is a 1. So next cell is going to contain if the column B that contains the name is blank. Okay, it's going to say B2, no, so B3 is equal to blank. If that is the case, give me a blank result. But if not, add 1 to A2. And that is it. We double click this and it goes all the way down. All right. The next one It also has have to do with combining the if blank function and the count a function. So here we combine those two elements. So equal to if b2 is equal to blank. So if you can use what is blank, this is another method of doing this b2. All right, what do you want to happen? I want a blank result. If not, count a, all right, b2 to b2. And of course, if you've seen how this is coming off, we have to lock down this first part of the formula, right? And double click all the way down to give us our serial number. So what it simply does is it checks if each of the cell that contains the name is not blank. If it's blank, it gives us a blank, but if it is not blank, it gives us the appropriate serial number. Let me give you an example. If this is blank now, it remove the serial number. Okay, so what I'm going to say is that we're going to compare each of these methods in another video, so because this one I don't want it to be too long, so that we will see what is the appropriate method for you to use at any given point in time. Right, so let's go to the next one, which is the aggregate function. The aggregate function is a function that is used to combine multiple functions together. So the aggregate function is this. So it has the average, it has the count a. So what we're going to use in this case is the count a function, and it is the serial number. This is number 3, the function number 3 in this case. So here we have a number of things, other parameters we can specify, like ignore nested subtotal, ignore hidden rows. I don't want to ignore anything, so I'm just go straight to 4. Now we need to specify the range or the array that I want this aggregate to apply to. So in this case, we're going to do b2 to b2, which is our first array, and we are going to lock down the first part of it. Enter and double click that to fill our serial number into place. The next one, which is similar to the aggregate function, is the subtotal function. The same method, but by the time we compare them, we find out that they generate different outcomes eventually. So we have the subtotal function here. So the third is the count a function, which is the third one, is what we want to use. So we enter a 3, and so the other parameter that is left now is for us to specify the range that is involved in our count a function. So we do b2 to b2. Okay, so again we lock this down and double click, and as simple as that. And that is our 10th method or 10th option of doing the serial number. Now the bonus method. Now this applies strictly to those who have Office 365 installed on their system. Now the function we want to use in this case is the sequence function. It's one of the new array functions that was introduced by Microsoft into Office 365. Now the sequence function is a very powerful function. All right, but in its most basic form is going to be, it can be used to generate serial number like I'm showing you now. So you type sequence, and if you know the number of rows that you want to generate serial number for, you simply type that number into your sequence function and press enter, and it spills all the way down. If you check, you can see that number 2, 3 up to 14 is grayed out. Only number 1 has the actual function. You cannot delete this. It doesn't delete because it is a spilling function. It's an array function. I'm not going to go into that today. So that marks the end of this video. Thank you for staying with us all through it. Please, I would like to have your comments in the comment section. Please suggest to us what you think you want us to do next, what you expect from us, and things like that. We are open to suggestions. We would like to hear from you. So please also click on the subscribe button and hit the like button. Yes, hit the like button so that YouTube can make this video available to every other person on YouTube and make it go viral. Thank you so much. See you in the next video.